these are the Sony CH720s, and these headphones are honestly great for noise cancellation. And as you guys can tell, these are honestly kind of comparable to these, which are the XM4s. So I'm going to be doing a review of these, as well as kind of doing a little bit of a comparison to the XM4s. The CH720s actually come in at a lot less price. They come in around 130 to 150, depending on how much you can get them for on Amazon. Whereas the WH, whatever they're called, XM4s actually come in anywhere between 280 to around 350. 350 is their normal price, but they do go on sale for a little bit less than 300. So if you can catch it on sale, you can get it for less than 300. But yeah, these are two headphones coming from Sony, and these are half the price. But at half the price, are they really kind of like half the amount or half as premium as these? That's exactly what I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so my thought process is that anyone that's looking for a noise cancellation headphone is doing a lot of moving around, whether you take it to the office, maybe you take the bus to work or the office, or that's the same thing, or to school, or maybe you travel around for work. So maybe you're looking for something that's going to kind of block out all the extra noise. Maybe you need to focus on work, or you just want to watch kind of shows on the way to work or on the way to wherever you're going. So I am going to be looking at the design in terms of the perspective of someone that's moving around a lot, rather than someone that's going to kind of be keeping them at home. Just because these are going to be a lot kind of moving around, you do want the build quality to be great. And when it comes to the design, they do have kind of very similar design, as you guys can see here. They are both black. They're both very much the same. But one thing that the XM4s have is that you will see here, you can actually kind of fold them in, and they do come with a carrying case, whereas the CH720s do not, and they don't fold in either, and they don't come with a carrying case. Doesn't mean you can't buy a third-party one, but straight off the bat, just off kind of the design, the product design around these headphones isn't going to be coming with all those extra things. But again, the price difference is twice as much. And for something that costs half the price, you can always get another case, a hard shell case for this, so you can still take it around wherever you need to without paying double the price. And part of the design of the CH720s is going to be a little bit more minimal than the XM4s. You'll notice a lot that on the band, the CH720s do have the brand here, but you can't really see it just because the Sony branding here is going to be a little bit on the kind of light gray side. It does blend in a little bit more. Whereas with the XM4s, because they are more on the premium side, they do have the Sony logo kind of gold right here, right on the ear cuff, so you can notice it more. So if that's something that you're kind of interested in, either you want it to show off the branding, or you want something a little bit more minimal on the CH720s, that's going to work kind of in that favor for these headphones. And another design aspect of the CH720s, which is by design, but I personally didn't like, is that they are going to be lighter than the XM4s. Again, that's by design. These are supposed to be lightweight, kind of for you to travel around with them. But to me, kind of making them a little lightweight does make them feel a little bit cheaper. And you will see here on the band itself, you will see that the band, and I'll get a close-up for you guys, but the band itself is actually a lot thinner than it is on the XM4s, and that does kind of attribute a lot to the lighter weight. But because of that, the band does feel a little bit cheaper, kind of a little bit thinner, and because they don't fold and they don't come with a carrying case like the XM4s, part of me does kind of think that does suck, because you can break them easier, especially if you're throwing them into a backpack where things move around. It's nicer to have a pair of headphones that is kind of more formable, kind of adjust a little bit more to whatever's around it, compared to something that's more rigid and is going to break easier. And then the biggest design difference from the XM4s to the CH720s, which I think is a huge pro for me that I use the XM4s daily, is that all the buttons on the CH720 are actually physical buttons, whereas on the XM4s, they're all touch. You can touch kind of the ear cuff to either skip to the next track, pause, play, all of those little extra added functionalities, which are great, but they do kind of seem gimmicky, especially for me. Whenever I work out, I do use these headphones to work out in. And whenever I'm doing something like a tricep extension, something in the back, whenever I graze the ear cuff, it does tend to pause my music, which honestly irritates me. So I am huge huge proponent of physical buttons. They're just a lot easier. It doesn't really change the functionality of the button, and it allows you to kind of get that tactile feedback whenever you're clicking it, so you know exactly what you're doing with the headphones. And the pad on both the ear cuffs on the CH720s and on the XM4s are kind of relatively the same. I will say that the XM4s does kind of have a protection around the part where the ear cuff or the leather ear cuff protector, I don't even know what it's called, but wherever that kind of attaches to the rest of the ear cuff, there is kind of protection along the side. Whereas with the CH720s, there is no protection, so that's exposed, which honestly, I don't think it really takes away from the functionality, but I think it does make it seem more like you can kind of rip it out by accident, especially if you're constantly moving it, constantly changing it around. It does feel a little bit more like you can just rip it right out. Whereas with the XM4s being protected, it does add kind of that layer of protection so that you don't feel as fragile as you do with the CH720s. And like I mentioned earlier, the CH720s are going to be a little more lightweight. They are going to feel a little more fragile than the XM4s. But again, I don't even know if that's part of the design on the XM4s or if that's just mine because I've been kind of bouncing them around and using them for workouts and everything. But they do tend to be a little more smooth, a little bit more movable. You can move them easier. Whereas with the CH720s, the build quality does come in at a little more stiff. Like even you will see here, you can kind of stop it halfway wherever you need it. But with the XM4s, you can't do the same thing. It's either out or it's in. It kind of moves just a lot easier. And to me, that honestly does kind of suck, especially if you're moving around all the time. But honestly, the rest of the build quality of it, kind of the leather, I don't even know if this is fake leather or real leather, but everything here around the band, around the headphone itself, the sound quality, it's honestly not that bad. For $130, which is how much I paid for them, they're not that bad. They sound great. The noise cancellation is pretty well done, and they work great, especially for someone that's using them for working out. These are going to be great headphones because if you do end up breaking them, it's a lot less than these. And I know that kind of might sound bad. $100 is a lot for some people. But honestly, if you're looking between these two headphones, if you're going to be using them kind of as your everyday headphone for everything you need to, these work just as well as these in terms of sound quality. And luckily for everyone that's going to be going for the CH720s, it's not just the sound quality that's the same exact thing as the XM4s. There's actually a lot more of the features that they share in common that it's not just that. For one thing, they both have kind of connectivity to either Alexa or to Google, so you can use those the same exact way. They work with the smart home assistant on either one. They also have one feature that I actually really liked after getting my AirPods, which is the dual connection. You can connect up to 2 devices, and whenever you're kind of listening to something on the computer, if a call comes through on your phone, as soon as you answer that phone call, the headphones will automatically detect that you're taking a phone call on your phone and kind of disconnect from the computer, let you take your call. It'll automatically start playing to your headphones, which I think is a great feature to have, especially on headphones, and a lot of us have multiple devices, so that's a really neat feature to have. So it's nice to see that even these that cost half the price have that included as well. And you also get other features like being able to connect to the app, to the Sony headphones app. You can adjust all the EQ. You can set it up exactly how you want to listen to these. But if you are someone that likes bass and that's basically all you want to hear in your music, you can go with the other headphones from Sony, which do have extra bass. Those, again, they're from the same lineup. They have almost the same exact design, but they do have more bass. So if you're into that, I do recommend that you go with those instead, because those are made specifically to add extra bass to any other music. And the last feature, which I actually haven't even used on the XM4s, is being able to connect and give you kind of that surround sound, 3D spatial audio. I don't even know what to call it. Every single place calls it something different, but they do give you kind of that spatial audio whenever you're listening to the TV if you have a Sony TV. I obviously don't have a Sony TV, so I haven't used that feature, not even on the XM4s, but it does come with that. So that if that's something you're looking for, maybe you have your Sony TV hooked up, you can use these and not only get the experience only yourself, but you can also have that spatial audio to kind of get that surround sound experience through these headphones. Overall, I think these are great headphones. I honestly can't even see why the XM4s cost twice as much, especially with how much these can do. You have the active noise cancellation, you have the dual pair for 2 different devices, the ear cups feel nice, the sound quality is pretty good, and they are a lot more lightweight, which I personally like better for kind of working out. They're not, or I guess the XM4s are technically not waterproof or sweatproof or whatever you want to call it. So I actually am always a little bit afraid whenever I'm working out. So it's nice to know that there are other headphones that are a little bit more budget friendly in terms of getting premium headphones. So these can be more budget friendly. These can kind of be the beater headphone that you take everywhere with you. You can toss it in your backpack, not really be worried about breaking them. But again, they don't come with a carrying case. So if you are worried about breaking them, I do recommend that you get a carrying case for them so you can keep them nice and safe whenever you have them in your backpack. I haven't even thought about just getting these just simply because the XM4s don't get as much use as they used to. Ever since I got the AirPods, I kind of been using those. They're a little bit more portable. They're easier to carry around to work and back. So I've been using my AirPods Pro, and the XM4s haven't gotten a lot of use. They're mostly used as my gym headphones or my workout headphones now. So I might even think about getting these instead of those, or using these instead of those, just because I feel like if I break $300 headphones, it's going to hurt a lot more than $100 headphones. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. Would you buy another pair of headphones just for gym use, or would you stick to the ones you already have? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you guys enjoyed the content, and I will catch you on the next one.